Welcome with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Songs of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. And I'm going to repeat that. I am the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valleys. These two flowers are symbols of Christ's beauty and fragrance. We all know that the Song of Solomon isn't just about a couple's love for each other, but it is a reflection of God's love for us. It is a story of us being the bride and Christ being the bridegroom. These four metaphors portray truths about God's character, his love, and repetitive work. The rose of Sharon is beauty, excellence, and preciousness of Christ. The lily of the valley portrays Christ's humility and purity. Lilies are renowned for their white blossoms, symbolizing innocence and righteousness. Valleys are very dark. They represent darkness, and they are always full of challenges. Especially in the Bible, in those Bible times, valleys was where evilness lurked and hide out. But when people traveled through the valleys, they would be attacked by thieves, evil people. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I should feel no evil. But yet, in the middle of this valley, the valley of darkness and death, what do you see? Valleys blooming with their brightness and their whiteness. Their fragrance is a fragrance of hope, of bringing salvation and grace to all that seek him and believe in him. When we're walking through our valleys and it seems dark and gloomy, if we was to stop and to smell the roses, stop and look, gaze upon the lilies of the valleys, we are reminded that we are not alone. Through our darkest times, we are not forsaken. No matter what we face, a band of thieves, God will be there. You know, as we come to Christ, we learn one major lesson, that through our past life, or before we, because we could become new, so our old lives are gone. But as we look back at our old lives and we realize that we was never alone, that God never forsaken us, for there was always little signs speaking to us and showing us and telling us, hey, that was God. God was there. You know what? I almost died in that incident, but God. No, on that one day I was just so doomed. I just felt like nobody loved me and nobody cared and blah, 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 this and that. And then I went there and somebody who didn't even know me took the time to help me. It was pouring down rain and I had a flat, and yet somebody stopped, and they didn't need to. They didn't have to, but they did. That was an act of love, an act of kindness. That was God. Somebody held the door for you. And even though you was a little bit far off, they didn't care. They didn't mind waiting. They didn't mind holding the door because you was important. That makes you feel loved. That was God. See, when we do act of kindness, we are portraying God. Not saying that we are God, but we are reflecting God's love to one another. God is all about love. And we are to reflect his characteristics, for he is our Father. How could we not? How can you be a Christ follower and a Christian and not reflect who God is on you. People need to look at you and know that you are a child of God. Your actions, your talk, your speech, the way you carry yourself should reflect who your Father is. What child growing up doesn't want to be like their parents on average? Because I know not everybody had the luxury of having such amazing parents and role models, so to speak, in their lives. But just as in general, who wouldn't want? So we too need to reflect. For it says also in the scriptures that we need to be Christ-like. We need to be righteous and we need to be holy. How can we do that? By being Christ-like. See, we can't be Christ because we're not Christ. But we are called to be righteous and we're called to be holy, for he is righteous and for he is holy. And it says to be Christ-like. We need to reflect his light. For God is the light of this world and this world of darkness. And as his children, we need to reflect his light into this world of darkness. We are to shine so bright that we cannot be missed. If our light inside of us is shining bright, we should not be misunderstood of who we belong to. But yet there are so many Christ followers and Christians out there that when people look at them, they don't even know that they are even a Christian. How sad is that? If people do not understand just by simply knowing you, that you are of Christ, that you are a Christian, and something is wrong with the way that you are reflecting your light, with the way that you are reflecting your character, that you need to fix that. Because immediately, without a question, without a doubt, people should automatically know that you are a child of God. You can go to church, you can do your Bible study, you can pray all you want to, but if you're sitting there drinking and partying and cussing up a storm, if you're walking out that door looking like you work on the streets, you are not reflecting Christ. See, there's a difference when Christ calls somebody new and drags them in. And God hasn't quite worked on their character yet because they have just been called to Christ. We shouldn't be judging people by the way they dressed, for they've just been called to Christ. If he's touched the prostitute's heart to come to church, and yet you say, hey, you can't come in here dressed like that, and you send them away, but yet Christ is the one that called them there, we need to be careful because Christ is working on them. It is a hospital for the sick. It's only after they have been there that when they leave, then they should reflect. So if you have been a Christian and have been walking on this journey for a minute, and you still purposely knowing better, then you have a problem. See, there is a major difference. For you can't have a broken arm and go to the hospital with it already healed and they say, okay, why'd you come here if your arm is broken? Get out of here. Yep, that's what you're doing to some people. So we've got to maintain and look at it. Did Christ send them there to be fixed and to be healed? You should welcome these people. But there's a lot of churches that are shooing away the sick because they believe that when they come to church, they should automatically be healed. And those that have already been healed should not be portraying themselves as still sick and broken. Because we are to reflect God's character. We are to learn to walk in our spirits and not of the flesh. For we are set apart from people of this world and the things of this world. And that should reflect how you are.